Just because you heal something fully does not mean that it disappears. A lot of the work that I do happens to be work in helping people heal inner self, inner wounds. And a lot of these wounds are from childhood, some of them are from more recent, but the bottom line and the thread that goes through there is simply healing in some way, shape, or form. I think about a wound. I went for a ride on a bicycle with my son. And this was during a time that I was dealing with some dizzy spells. He really wanted to go to the store. So I hopped on my bike and I had my cute little teal and white helmet on, and he hopped on his bike and we get on the sidewalk and we're just going down the street. And suddenly I had this dizzy spell in the middle of it and I fell over. And when I fell over, my chin went down this cedar fence. And it's like a cheese grater. It was a rough fence and it took a nice chunk of my chin away from it. But I took a chunk of that cedar fence with me too, because I had a lot of splinters. So I fall over, I skin my chin, and I'm sitting on the ground just trying to figure out what happened. And my son had just finished a little bit of a first aid course. And he comes up to me and he looks at me and I'm dripping blood and he rips his shirt off and he shoves it on my chin and he says, "Hold it there for me. Let me check and make sure everything's okay." So then he checks the rest of my body to make sure that I was all right. And he's like, "I think we're good. Can you ride your bike home, or do I need to go home and get Jay to come pick you up?" So I went. I thought I could ride. And he says, "Can you ride one-handed? Because you got to hold that shirt on your chin and make sure it stops bleeding." So I did. I rode that bike home. We got to the house. We get in the front door, and I looked at my husband, and my brain had shifted into this childlike mode. And I remember looking at him, and all of a sudden I cried and I said, "I didn't mean to. Please don't be upset with me." He was like, "What?" We go upstairs. We had a very long bathroom counter with 2 sinks in it. And I laid across the counter and he looked at it and he saw all of the splinters and just how chunky my chin was. And he said, "We need to go to the ER." So I keep a new clean rag on my chin. We go to the ER and they ended up having to stitch my chin shut. They didn't pluck any of those splinters out. They left them in there because they thought it would do more damage to pick them out than to leave them in and let my body just get rid of them. So now I have this scar on my chin. Well, the thing about this is that we have wounds. When we have a physical wound like my chin and it's a mess, we have to let it heal. We have to let our body do what needs to happen so that we can get back to a healed, whole state of being. Now, for me, in this instance, that included stitches, and it included a very long time of letting my body eventually push every one of those splinters out, and we would pick them out of my chin as they were expelled. There are a lot of times in life where we have a wound, and this wound is from childhood, and we revisit that wound consciously or subconsciously. We go back to it and we hit it again. And it's kind of like ripping the scab off of that scraped knee. And it starts to bleed again and it hurts and we're upset. And eventually that scabs over and closes up. And then we go back again and we rip that scab off. Sometimes we're able to heal the wound enough that now it's a scar. That scar might be a deep scar where it has scar tissue and there's more under the surface that you need to work and deal with. And sometimes it's a more superficial scar like my chin. The bottom line is that scar is simply a reminder of what has gone on, what you have experienced in life, and what you have been able to heal. It's a reminder. Yeah, it happened. Just because you heal something fully does not mean that it disappears and that there is no evidence whatsoever and that you don't remember it. You will remember what happened, but because it's scarred over and you've healed it completely underneath, it doesn't hurt as much. You can look back at it and say, yeah, that was a wild ride. That was a big deal for me. And yet I've been able to forgive myself, forgive the other people that were a part of that moment. I've been able to acknowledge where I was at, where they were at, and find the gift. Healing is something that we have to do internally. Nobody can do it for us. Our bodies have to work through to be okay, to heal the hurts that have happened. I hope that you are a little more patient with yourself. I hope that you can look at those things that hurt. Give yourself some compassion. Find what the gift is. What did you learn from that moment? And start healing that from the inside out so that you don't feel the need to pull off the scab and revisit the wound. Have a great day, and we'll see you again.